Hi guys! Today we're going to be talking about popular books that I'll probably never read. I'm not trying to drag any of these books. They're popular for a reason. They just don't interest me. I'm gonna try to explain why, but I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. If one of these things is your favorite book or you really love it, I'm sorry. I know some of my favorite books are also not everyone else's cup of tea, so just try to have a little bit of fun here. I also don't know who created this tag. I tried looking for it online, but I couldn't find anything. If I do dig up whoever's name it was that started this trend, I will put it in the description down below. The first question is, what's a really hyped book that you're not interested in reading? I have a couple answers for this one. The first and probably most definitely never gonna read any of these are the Cassandra Clare novels. Not interested in any of them. I know she's got quite a few series that all kind of take place within the same universe. And I was definitely the right age to begin reading these when they started to come out, but I always hated the covers. I'm sorry. And I know that's a stupid reason to not pick up a book, but I think the first one, I don't even remember what it's called. The first one has the torso of a dude, and it's from his chin to his hips, and I don't remember if he's shirtless or not. I'll try to put a picture there. I don't know. It just made me uncomfortable when I was a young teenager. I didn't really quite want to be reading a book that had that on it, which is silly now. But yeah, it never captured my interest. I remember I watched the movie that had Lily Collins in it, which I've heard is a terrible adaptation. I didn't like it. I know there was a Freeform show that's an adaptation of this world as well. I've just never been interested. I've heard that at least the original books were initially Harry Potter fan fiction, which okay. But yeah, again, they've just never really captured my interest. I know they're really popular, especially here on BookTube. I see special editions of these books coming out all the time, so more for you guys, because I'm not interested. Another series that I'm not super interested in picking up, but I might eventually, it's just not high priority right now, is another really popular series, The Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson. This is no shade to Brandon Sanderson. I know he is really, really popular and his books are really well loved. I'm currently reading the Wheel of Time series right now, so I feel like my commitment for these really huge fantasy novels is really focused there at the moment. He actually wrote the last couple of the Wheel of Time books because the author passed away before he could finish them. So I'm sort of interested in seeing, I've never read any Brandon Sanderson, so I'm interested in seeing how he wraps up the Wheel of Time. And there's also a couple other books by him that I'd rather pick up first. I'm really interested in Skyward and I think it's Starsight, the two sort of YA sci-fi books he has out. Those look interesting, and the Mistborn series I've heard is really cool. So I'm interested in reading Brandon Sanderson. It's just the Stormlight Archives is a little too much right now. It is not a priority for me at all at the moment. Maybe eventually, once I pick up his works and I find I really love them, I will buy them, but that won't be for a couple of years at least. So the second question is, what's a series you won't start / won't be finishing? So I've got an answer for both of these. A series that I won't start is the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Don't come for me, I know. Sarah J. Maas, again, super, super popular author here on BookTube. And I'm actually, again, interested in some of her other works. I've picked up A Court of Thorns and Roses and its sequel. I have Crescent City. Those are all on my TBR shelf. Throne of Glass, for some reason, just doesn't interest me. One, it's another really long series that I'm just not looking to commit to at the moment. Two, I believe it was her first series, and from what I've heard, the first couple books are kind of harder to get into, and I'm just kind of at the point where I have so much to read. I don't necessarily want to have to get through a couple of books before the series gets good, you know? I've got so much else to read. So I know, again, the people who love that series really passionately love it, but it's just not for me, at least not right now. And a series that I won't be finishing is Another really popular one, the third book just came out, but it is the Cursebreaker series by Bridget Kemmerer. I didn't get the hype with this one. I liked the main character. I liked the muscular dystrophy representation. I thought that was cool. Harper was really like badass and awesome. But I hated the love interest, Ren. I thought he was so boring, and I didn't think there was anything about that relationship that convinced me that they loved each other. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, if you don't know, and I just thought the main couple had zero chemistry, and there was just, I wasn't rooting for them. If anything, I liked Harper, the main character, and Ren's personal guard character, Gray. I thought they had a much better thing going on than her and Ren did, so I was just sort of left confused and wanting more by the end of this. I know the sequel focuses more on Gray, who I did like more, but I've just heard really kind of things about it. Nothing to convince me that it's worth reading 2 more novels about this size. It just wasn't for me. The third question is, what is a classic that you're not interested in? This one was kind of hard because there are several. I find myself more drawn to like the chick lit classics like Austen and both Bronte sisters, or all 3 Bronte sisters actually, sorry, don't come for me. But the really stuffy stories written by old dudes I just don't care about. One of them that I specifically wrote down in preparation for this question is actually kind of funny, but I wrote down Bleak House by Charles Dickens. I feel like I've seen a couple other YouTubers talk about this, which is probably why it was sort of like in the forefront of my mind when I was trying to come up with answers. But it's kind of funny because I actually found a copy of Bleak House very recently at my local bookstore's 50-cent bin. But I bought it as a prop book. I have no intention of ever reading this. I just thought it was like a cool old looking edition that would look really cool in like an Instagram photo. So I just thought that was funny that like one of the books that I specifically thought of for this question, I just recently bought. But again, no intention of ever reading it, totally uninterested. A couple other ones that I can think of just off the top of my head are Moby Dick by Herman Melville. No interest. Also Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. Not interested. I've heard that it's good. I've heard it's very like nuanced story, but not interested. So yeah, there are several. And I know classics are kind of one of those things that are really like sacred to a lot of people, but I'm a firm believer in why suffer through something that you're not going to enjoy. There are plenty of classics out there that I do like, so I'd rather read those. Next question is, what is a genre that you never read? I try to be a really well-rounded reader. I definitely don't read quite as much nonfiction as I read fiction, but there are definitely types of nonfiction that I do enjoy. So I think for this, I would have to say like historical nonfiction, which is difficult because I actually really like history documentaries and stuff. It's not that I'm not interested in the subject material. I just have a hard time reading it. It's often very dry, puts me to sleep. I've been trying to read some audiobooks or trying to listen to some audiobooks that are more in line with this because I know there are some really good ones out there. It's just not something that I reach for whatsoever. The last question is, what's a book on your shelf that you'll probably never read? I had a hard time thinking of an answer for this question because I try not to keep any books that I don't love or that I'm not going to read. But when I found it, I knew it was the right answer, and that is George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood. This is basically like the family tree of like all the Targaryens and a bunch of short stories about each and every notable one. I did read a little bit of it when it first came out. I think I got it for Christmas, and I'm gonna keep it. I have all the other Game of Thrones books and the encyclopedia and stuff like that, but it's really long, and it's hard to read, especially where this came out much more recently. It's difficult to want to read something that he spent so much time on when he could have been writing Winds of Winter, and that I'm a little bitter about it. So I'll read this when A Song of Ice and Fire is finished. So probably never. All right, and that wraps up the popular books I'll never read tag. Again, not trying to come for anyone, not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. It's all in good fun. So if you have any books that you will probably never read that you're not interested in reading, please leave that down below. I'd love to hear your answers. And yeah, so thanks so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.